Hello everyone, this is Bob and Threadbare, and welcome back to BioShock Infinite. Where we last left off, I was avoiding being noticed by the guy with the, high beam eyeballs. Now, I believe the trick with this guy is that, for the most part, he turns in a, counterclockwise circle. I'll occasionally glance back, but only just a bit. In general, he's always turning to his left. Or she. How the hell should I know? But yeah, health for vigors, I don't know, that doesn't seem like a very wise maneuver.
Bring us the girl and wipe away the dead. But in the end, he is the one who'll have to pay down all of our accounts, won't he? Where does his guilt start? And mine end?
Alright, looks like it's safe to move now. That said, there are ways to go that are right or left from here. It's not exactly safe to run out in front of the open doorway. But, oh. Apparently there's no way to go that's left. That's my mistake. So, let's see where we learn here.
A man once promised me that he would free me of my chains. But in the end, he abandoned me to serve his own needs. But in some ways, I thank him. He showed me exactly how much faith our species deserved. God put his faith in men once too. It seems that we have something in common. Disappointment. I did not always love the prophet. In truth, I ran from his embrace. I even denied that I was his. I followed a man who seemed to be everything my father was not. That man was a false shepherd. And when the wolves came for me, he was nowhere to be found.
You know, I'm pretty sure the Booker in this universe died. Which is why he didn't come back immediately. You know, I'm figuring that's what's happened, is that we jumped back to the universe where Booker crashed through several stories and died. And we've just sort of jumped forward a ways in that universe. I do appreciate the... oh. Well, that's unfortunate. He lost his camera. Went down with it, too. How'd he pull that off, though? Anyway, you might have noticed earlier, but that, the one camera projecting on the wall there had some subliminal images on it. You know, where they flash on screen for just like one frame.
As the days pass, I believe less in God and more in Lutece. My powers shrivel as my regrets blossom. All of this because my father failed me. By the time I realized how far I'd gone, it was too late to stop it. But there is still one last chance at redemption for both of us.
And by the way, spoiler alert, but subliminal messages don't work. I think electric punches are better than this. I mean, yeah, kill streak, that's always fun, but, well, there has to be enough of a consistent supply of base-level enemies in order to actually make anything good out of that, whereas, 70% chance to stun, that'll happen every time I ram into some poor bastard. Oh, hey. Could have sworn I've seen this evidence before. Although I don't believe that signed confession was there last time. Well, maybe I'm mistaken.
There's the switch.
These are some crappy resolution cameras. But I suppose that's to be expected from technology that shouldn't technically exist yet.
What I've done cannot be undone. I cannot stop what I have put in motion. But perhaps I can keep it from ever starting. He was my first hope. And now, he is my last.
That's nice. Oh no.
Should be able to head downstairs and get to Elizabeth now.
Now there's the rest. Oh shit. Now that's just the game being pissy because they don't even have like the crazy inmates here. Just normal enemies. Although I have to wonder how the guy behind the other guy got the melee vulnerability. Seems remarkably selective. Anyway, I can deal with these guys so fast, it's not even a question anymore. It's just, oh hey there buddies. Wham, wham, wham. Down they go.
I am here to finish my Father's work. As he baptized me with water, I shall get around it! Let's go!
Shoot him!
Once this world has been born again, a million others wait their turn.
I love the chain effect I can get with that electricity.
The rebirth of the spirit. But sometimes, the mind gets in the way. If the mind will not yield, then you must expose the mind to every version of itself. Either the mind will yield, or be reduced to a blank.
Guess that's what happened to the inmates.
Tomorrow the leash comes off, because all of this has to end. But even if I destroy the siphon, will I be strong enough to see all the doors and open whichever I choose? And if I bring him here, who is to say that he would be any match for the monsters I have created?
Getting all philosophical in here.
Elizabeth, hold tight!
I wonder why that's blank. Pretty sure that was in front of the giant statue of Columbia, too.
It's a tear. What is it?
Why do you ask what?
When the delicious question is when.
Lives, lived, will live.
Dies, died, will die.
Are we doing this again? At least they aren't giving their whole speech this time. Hey! Snow's back.
As you can see, Booker, lunatics are running the asylum. They don't even listen to me anymore. All I can do is watch as what I set into motion slides into its terminal stage. It took all I had left in me just to bring you here.
Elizabeth, I don't understand. I heard you screaming. I was coming to get you. Are we...
Here. Take my hand. The seed of the prophet shall sit the throne and drown in flame the mountains of man. Say what you will about Comstock. He was a hell of a fortune teller. Wasn't the torture that broke me. Wasn't the indoctrination. It was time. Time rots everything, Booker. Even hope.
I was coming.
Songbird. He always stops you.
Yes, but I would find a way.
No. It's too late for me. I brought you here for your sake. Yours and hers. Here.
What is this?
It's for her. She'll know how to read it.
What does it say?
It's advice.
Advice on what?
How not to become me.
So yeah, my theory is that that is the Elizabeth that we sort of abandoned by dying in one universe. And then when we became the next Booker in line, you know, now we're here.
I'm back. In 1912. Before she... There's still time.
Well, how do you know what date it was
Elizabeth!
when you left?
You two men upstairs. If she gets ornery, just hit her with the machines. She opens one tear and there will be nothing but regrets.
Comstock! What are you doing to her? Let her be!
Mr. Durant, what's the expression? Day late and the dollar short.
Well, we've clearly been to where it was too late, and that's an alternate universe at this point.
Gotta get in there. Maybe if I shut down the machine from upstairs.
Come on, you sons of bitches. I got your number.
Give her something to quiet her down.
Even though for some reason
Half the procedure is safe.
the overkill damage just isn't working half the time. That's sort of weird.
That is the sound of your interference. You have led my daughter into temptation.
She is not your daughter!
Perhaps not now. But trust me when I tell you she will be.
Well, more like she was, but again, you're not looking into the future, you're looking into a possible reality, or an existent reality, that happens to be transposed in time, and follows certain possibilities towards their logical conclusions. Holy crap, I just destroyed that thing. Ah, hell.
You're no match.
Luckily, it seems like this guy's alone, so I just gotta chase him down with a shotgun. But I do not like being left at a sliver of health again. What's happening to me? I wonder if it's programmed to do that. You know, go down to just that little tiny sliver, like automatically instead of killing you. I know there are some games that do it like that.
He shut down one of the generators. If we don't sedate her, he shuts down the other one. We're not sedating her.
Probably something about the control not working if she's, you know, hopped up on morphine.
Attack!
Oh, hello there.
what you sow.
Alright, you sons of bitches. You deal with the big guy.
My aim is true.
And in the meantime, I'm just gonna, hide back here, where it's relatively safe. Only relatively, though. Maybe get some crows in here, see what happens. Oh, crap. This is not good. Nuts. Since Elizabeth isn't here, we're doing the door thing again. Can't even move around anymore. I forget if you could in the beginning, but, well, definitely not now.
Stop! Found it!
Yeah, you found me. Oh, hell. Alright, let's throw down some traps. See, the benefit with the traps is that, crap. Oh. That's convenient time. Anyway, the benefit with the traps is that, the electric traps, they tend to stick around for a while. They can do a lot of damage if it's like a high traffic area. Unfortunately, they do tend to take a lot of salts out of you. Come on. Like the only guy left again. Just gonna do the shotgun chase. There we go. And goddamn. Sliver of health again. Like so good at being bad at this or something. Or is it the other way around? By the way, I could kill these guys if I wanted to.
The siphon! She's getting up! She's... no! Wait, turn it back on! Please! Please!
I've heard folks complaining about this one, about how Elizabeth, normally there's
Elizabeth, I'll be right there!
something sort of like visually reminiscent of what's going on when Elizabeth just sort of opens a tear. Like when she opened a window to let the bee out and there was Songbird, at the same time, behind it is a poster of Songbird. In this case, there's no poster of a tornado on the wall there, but on the other hand, a tornado is probably about as angry as she is feeling right now. And that is probably all she really needs in order to focus on a specific reality with a tornado in it. Anyway.
I got you, it's okay. Okay, I'm gonna fix this. You ready?
Just do it.
Here.
Help me with this.
I think someone meant for you to have this.
What is it?
Just read it.
Your dream of New York happens. It's me. I'm the one who...
She's given us a way to get past Songbird. We're gonna find an airship and we'll leave
Booker.
Paris, Elizabeth. Remember, you wanted to go
We're
to...
not leaving. We are going to find Comstock.
Why?
You saw what he turns me into. I will not allow that.
And so what, you're going to kill him?
This is where you start moralizing, Booker. You forget. I know you.
I'm not going to let you kill him.
Really? Booker? What are you going to do to stop me?
Not a damn thing. Because I'm gonna do it for you.
Guess we're not in Kansas anymore. Oh.
And now to find the prophet.
Comstock's Zeppelin is outside. The hand of the prophet, he calls it.
When did you learn that?
I've been here for a while.
How long?
Long enough.
Alright, but before we...
Comstock got what he wanted from me. Because he is not gonna have long to use it.
Alright, but before we do any progress...
Fancy putting those lock-picking skills to work?
Seems easy enough. Got it.
Yeah. Almost done.
Nice.
I think that's actually the last one I'll ever find.
The procedure should help immensely with the issues we've had with the girl. Once the device is implanted, any effort on her part to alter the state of things will emit a most painful electric shock. Pavlov made a dog salivate. We'll make this one weep.
What a nice man. You can really tell why he got into medical science.
Elizabeth.
I'll give it a whirl. It's done. This doesn't make any sense. Everything here is a cipher that I understand except for this symbol. It's a cage. Did she say anything about this?
No.
Well, I guess we'll have to figure that one out later. But the subject of today's Science Corner has been a long time coming, but I could never really find a good time to present it until now. I'll be talking about automatons, or in other words, the robots who aren't really robots. The incredible machines. In the beginning, there were 6 simple machines. The lever, the wheel, the pulley, the inclined plane, the wedge, and the screw. The purpose of a simple machine, of any machine, is to transform energy. Whether that means transforming torque into momentum with the wheels of a car, transforming kinetic energy into potential energy by using an inclined plane to lift a heavy object, or by simply redirecting the flow of energy, such as when you use a pulley to lift something using downward force. The list of simple machines was developed during the Renaissance as a way to basically brainstorm new designs and inventions. But while it's still a good introduction to the basics of mechanics, the list was rendered obsolete in the 19th century by Franz Rollo, who found the list to be both too simple and too complicated. The pulley, the wheel, and the lever are all based on a single rotating hinge, and the inclined plane, the wedge, and the screw act by sliding 2 surfaces against each other in different ways. Instead, Rollo came up with 4 basic joints: the revolving joint, the sliding joint, the cam joint, and the gear joint. He further delineated around 800 simple machines based on how these joints could interact, and with it, he developed the field of kinematics. Of course, that's not to say that he invented the field of mechanical engineering. Humans invented complex machines as far back as ancient Greece, where they developed the first cranes for lifting and righting heavy blocks and pillars. The Romans developed crane technology to build their most famous monuments. And in the Middle Ages, the crane reappeared just in time to assist in the building of the famous Gothic cathedrals. Meanwhile, ancient Greeks used the water wheel as a power source for milling grain, an invention so useful that the ancient Chinese developed it independently a few centuries later. The Persians developed the windmill to harness wind power sometime around the 7th century CE, but the technology wouldn't reach its peak until it had migrated to the Netherlands by around the 12th century. I know it's sort of a national stereotype, but there are seriously a ton of windmills in Holland. But one invention that served as a big leap forward in mechanical engineering was the coiled spring, developed in Europe as early as the 15th century CE. Now, pretty much anything flexible enough to absorb and release kinetic energy on command qualifies as a spring, including a bow, a pair of tweezers, and the human arm, but the advantage of the coiled spring is in its compactness. Whether it's shaped as a spiral or a helix, the coiled spring fits a significant amount of potential energy into a small area, which basically led to the first stage of miniaturization. Before the spring, you had mechanical clocks run by water or by falling sand, but these clocks required a full room or even a giant tower in order to operate on a 24-hour basis. After the spring, daily clocks could fit on tables, on walls, and eventually in the palm of your hand. Autonomous motion. The earliest history of automatons shares a lot in common with the earliest history of robotics, which is to say that prior to either, you can find examples like the Colossus of Rhodes, the living statues of Hephaestus and Galatea, the Golem of Prague, and, of course, Frankenstein. But there is a key difference between robots and automatons, which is that robots are mechanisms operated by electronic programs, whereas automatons are entirely mechanical. And with that in mind, it's pretty clear why the history of one ended just about where the other one picked up. The origins of the automatic machine most likely lie with automated musical instruments, things like automated flutes, drum machines, and string pluckers, which were invented during the Islamic Golden Age around a millennium ago. You can actually find the kind of mechanisms they used back in the day in modern music boxes. You start a music box by winding a spring, which sets in motion a spinning drum covered in ridges or pins. The pins pluck notes from steel prongs as they pass it by. In Europe, the earliest such pin barrel showed up in northern Belgium, where a bell ringer used one to play a tune on the church bells. By 1598, someone from the same area created a wall clock that could do the same thing for a much smaller set of bells. And ever since then, just about 9 of every 10 automatons have been clocks, instruments, or both. Barrel organs became the next programmable instrument in the 18th century, and in the 19th, automated instruments adopted a similar technology, which was being used to create complex patterns in woven fabric: punch cards. Much like the pins on the barrel, punch cards inform the mechanism when to act and when not to act. A simple but effective tool which would remain in use even as mechanical computers became electronic. In 1863, a Frenchman named Fourneau replaced the existing barrel piano with the first functional player piano, a device which used mnemonics and punch cards to play notes on what was, unlike the barrel piano, an otherwise perfectly playable instrument. All things considered, then, it's pretty obvious why many of the first animated automatons appeared to play musical instruments. And musical automatons were exceptionally popular all throughout their heyday. Another French inventor, Jacques Vaucanson, created 3 of the first modern automatons in the first half of the 18th century, and of them, 2 played music. The third was known as the digesting duck, an automaton he created in 1739, which featured 400 points of articulation and could apparently consume seeds and water and then defecate their remains. These remains were actually green-stained breadcrumbs, but despite the deception, the duck was a real marvel of engineering. Vaucanson also invented the first automated loom, which again led back into automated instruments. Friedrich von Naus was a German watchmaker who built automatons capable of playing instruments and writing short phrases. Pierre-Jacques Dreux was a Swiss watchmaker who dabbled in mechanical birds and created 3 automatons of exceptional complexity which exist and function to this day. The musician, a woman who actually plays a custom-built organ and even breathes and watches her fingers. The draftsman, a child who draws 3 separate pictures and periodically blows the dust off his pencil. And the writer, another child, who can write any sentence up to 40 letters long thanks to a programmable wheel interface. Wolfgang von Kempelen was a Hungarian inventor who lived in the latter half of the 18th century and is known for two inventions in particular. The first is the Turk, a chess-playing automaton, which couldn't actually play chess on its own. A human hid under the table and would punch moves into the Turk's mechanism. However, his other invention was the speaking machine, the product of 20 years of research into the mechanics of human speech. The machine was complicated, and it could only speak in a monotone, but it worked. And in the process, von Kempelen got some serious research done on phonetics. The late 19th century up until World War I would become the golden age of automatons, although the forms were rarely more exotic than humans, birds, and music players. With steam engines came the ability for automatons to perform actions on a much more continuous basis, and early recordings on wax cylinders gave them the ability to talk. However, when it comes to the automatons of Columbia, I think the most direct inspiration is from an attraction built 50 years after BSI takes place. Great Moments with Mr. Lincoln, an advanced animatronic built in 1965. See, Walt Disney originally wanted to make something for Disneyland that would pay tribute to all the presidents of the past, but the money and the technology weren't up to the task. So he settled on creating one impressively realistic Lincoln animatronic instead. I mean, the writer and the musician are impressive for their time, but Lincoln was just plain impressive. Incidentally, the attraction got a revamp recently, and the formerly hydraulic robot now operates entirely on electronics. Also, Disney World would eventually fulfill Disney's dream by creating the Hall of Presidents, which does feature animatrons of every president, past and present. Personal thoughts. You know what's always amused me? This persistent belief that humanity should not tamper in God's domain, that science is rushing headlong into a future that's inevitably going to backfire and destroy us all, or at least destroy its own creators. Some things are just beyond our understanding. And even if it's not God's wrath, then some ironic fate awaits us if we reach too far, too fast, and meddle in too much. But really now, if humans weren't meant to meddle in God's affairs, then He's been doing a pretty poor job of enforcing that ban. Apes are tool-wielding creatures in general, and humans have had access to fire, as destructive and far-reaching as fire can be, since before we were humans. Or to go with a biblical allegory, we've been meddling in God's affairs since day one, when Eve ate the fruit of the tree of knowledge. While we're on that topic, there's a couple of interesting points about Genesis chapter 3. First, the snake is not Satan, or Lucifer, or the devil. It's actually just a talking snake. Second, the snake doesn't tempt Eve. He tells her the truth, after God lied to her and Adam. Now, she does say that the serpent tricked her once she gets in trouble, but she and Adam were really just trying to deflect blame at that point. And of course it doesn't help, since God just curses everyone involved. But here's the third point. The Lord doesn't banish Eve and Adam from Eden as punishment for their transgression. He curses them for that. He banishes them out of fear, that they would eat from the fruit of life and live forever, becoming truly godlike. But then, why would God have needed to worry? Divinity comes with omniscience and immortality, but it rests upon omnipotence, and you can't get that just by living forever. And yet, the Lord worried. It seems to me, then, that even the ancient Hebrews knew that knowledge is power, and that given enough knowledge, plus time, even a human could gain something akin to godhood. As such, we've been set on the path to meddle in godly affairs for a very, very long time. We've been improving our abilities, changing our environment, and building the facsimile of life ever since we invented the pointy stick, fire, and woven stick dolls, respectively. If we were supposed to avoid meddling with nature, we passed the point of no return 1,000,000 years ago. Thanks for joining me again in Science Corner, and I hope I'll see you soon.